Chief Ignatius dike was a man whose name rang like golden bells through the length and breadth of his state. A self-made billionaire, he built his fortune from the dusty grounds of Aba to the glittering skyscrapers of Abuja and Lagos. With fingers in construction, oil, transport, and real estate, his wealth was as vast as the oceans he often cruised on his private yacht. His mansion in Enugu stood like a palacia, three-story white edifice surrounded by manicured gardens, fountains, and rare flowers imported from Italy. But beyond the architectural brilliance and riches, Chief dike was a man deeply devoted to one thing: his family. He had 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls: Ikechukwu, Chibuzor, Ebuka, Adaku, and Amara. As a father, he was generous to a fault. From infancy, his children were dressed in luxury, schooled abroad, and driven around in the latest bulletproof SUVs. There was no birthday without a celebrity guest, no school year without first-class travel. And his wife, Ugochi, elegant, graceful, and fiercely intelligent, was his pride. He worshipped the ground she walked on. It was for her he built the house in Santorini, and for her sake, he turned down political offers that would have separated them for too long. But all that glitter eventually began to lose its shine. When the children were young, they danced around him like petals in a storm. They would tug at his agbada, laugh into his chest, and run down the halls calling him "Daddy" with pure joy. But time, that subtle thief, changed everything. One by one, they grew up and drifted away like dry leaves in Harmattan. Ikechukwu became a financial guru in New York. Chibuzor opened a nightclub empire in Dubai. Ebuka pursued a tech career in Canada. Adaku married a diplomat and settled in France, while Amara, his last daughter and supposed jewel, became an Instagram influencer in South Africa. They all flew on private jets, posted family pictures online, and sent monthly check-ins via WhatsApp, often voice notes no longer than 20 seconds. What they never sent was time. Chief dike had a daily routine of walking to the garden bench behind the mansion, hoping one of them would surprise him with a visit. But the only footsteps that ever echoed behind him were that of Chika, the househelp, who had lived with them since she was 12. She was now 28, and she served not just as a maid, but as his eyes, ears, and soul companion. "Papa, you haven't eaten this morning," she would say, holding a tray with cup of tea. "I'm not hungry, Chika," he would murmur, eyes fixed on the empty gate. "Is it the children again?" He wouldn't answer, but they both knew. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October, and the clouds had gathered thick like secrets waiting to burst. Chief dike sat in his study, a large mahogany room filled with books and ancestral portraits. He stared long at the framed family picture on his desk, a photo from 10 years ago. Everyone had been smiling. It was their last family Christmas together. With a heavy heart, he opened his drawer and brought out a brown envelope marked "Will," to be opened a week after burial. He had written it with joy 10 years ago, distributing all his properties equally among his wife and children. But now, he stared at it like a stranger. He picked up his phone and dialed Ikechukwu. "Hello, Daddy," the voice came through, stiff and busy. "Ikechukwu, my son. I haven't heard from you in 3 months. Ah, Daddy, work has been mad. We just launched a new hedge fund, and I'm flying to Geneva this weekend. You know how it is. You couldn't even call to check on me? Come on, Daddy. It's not like I don't love you. Look, I'll try and send something this week. How's the garden?" But the line had gone cold before Chief could answer. He tried Chibuzor. No answer. Ebuka. "Hey, Pops, can I call you back? I'm in a Zoom pitch." Adaku didn't even pick up. Amara posted a bikini photo with the caption, "Heaven can wait, vibes can't." He sat in silence for a long while. Then he stood up and walked to the window where the late afternoon sun painted the compound gold. Chika approached him quietly. "Papa, should I make pepper soup tonight?" He turned to her with tears glistening in his eyes. "No, Chika. Tonight, I need something stronger. Call Barrister Opara. Tell him to come tomorrow. I want to rewrite my will." The plan was simple. He would fake his death. It took less than 48 hours to arrange everything. Barrister Opara, old and sharp like a well-honed dagger, sat across from Chief Dike with a look of controlled concern. Chief, are you certain about this? Faking death isn't a child's game. There may be legal consequences. Chief Dike stood up, not looking at Barrister Opera. Let the world deal with its laws. My family has already broken the law of love. If I die today, no one will shed a genuine tear. I need to see for myself what their hearts carry. Only then will I rest in peace. The lawyer sighed, then opened his briefcase and brought out a blank document. You'll need a death certificate. I know a discreet doctor. For the obituary, I'll handle the announcement. You'll need to disappear for at least 2 weeks. On the corridor of the mansion, Chief Dike turned to Chica. You will be the only one who knows I'm alive. Let them think you're managing the house alone. Keep it clean. Keep it silent. Chica nodded solemnly, her eyes moist. Papa, what if they truly don't care? What if they never come? Chief smiled sadly. Then I will finally know who deserves the keys to everything I built. The next morning, Nigeria's social media exploded with the news. Breaking. Billionaire business tycoon, Chief Ignatius Dike, passes away in his sleep. Within hours, photos of the chief flooded the internet. Tributes poured in from politicians, businessmen, and socialites. His children? Their reactions were interesting. Ikechukwu posted a black and white photo of Chief with the caption, "Rest well, old man, you lived well." Chibuzor updated his WhatsApp status to, "Life is short. Rip Dad." Ebuka made a vague tweet, "Now the journey begins." Adaku simply put a black rose on her Instagram story. Only Amara went the extra mile, posing in a lace gown beside a candle and writing, "Death isn't the end. See you in heaven, Daddy." But beneath the public display, something else buzzed through their private messages. Ikechukwu to Chibuzor. Bro, the will said 1 week after burial, right? You're coming in for the reading? Chibuzor. Of course. I'll be in Nigeria by Thursday. Man's got to collect his share. Ebuka. Who's handling the documents? Adaku. Barrister Opara. Daddy trusted him. Let's just get this over with. I want that property in Maitama. They returned to Nigeria in private jets and expensive designer mourning attires. It wasn't grief that brought them, it was greed, wrapped in Gucci sunglasses and diamond wristwatches. The mansion felt different. The children had not stepped foot in it for years. The chandelier still sparkled, the grand piano untouched, and the garden bloomed just as Chief always kept it thanks to Chica. She welcomed them with a bowed head and tearful expression. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she whispered to each one. "Thank you," they said in passing, brushing past her into the house they once called home. Chica quietly noted their lack of emotion. No one asked about their father's favorite chair, or sat quietly in remembrance. Instead, they discussed properties. The burial was staged, an empty gold casket lowered into a marble tomb. Celebrities came, camera crews rolled, and the children gave speeches carefully crafted by PR assistants. But not one of them asked to open the casket. No one noticed the absence of a body. After 1 week, Barrister Opara summoned them all to the study. They sat, arms folded, sipping champagne as if they had just signed a business deal. "Ladies and gentlemen," the lawyer began, "in accordance with the original will, which you've all been informed of, each of you were to receive equal portions of your father's properties, provided you were present at the reading 1 week after burial." They nodded eagerly. "However," the lawyer paused, "this will has been officially nullified." Gasps shot through the room. "What?" Ikechukwu snapped. "That's not possible." "I spoke with him before he passed. He told me everything was already arranged." Opara raised a hand and slowly opened a red envelope. "This is the new will, handwritten, signed, and sealed by your father, a day before his alleged death." He cleared his throat. "I, Chief Ignatius Dike, being of sound mind, do hereby declare the following. To my first son, Ikechukwu, I leave your memories of me. I hope you find value in them. To Chibuzor, I leave you the echo of my calls. Perhaps now you'll answer them. To Ebuka, I leave you the silence of a father's waiting heart. May it keep you company in your solitude. To Adaku and Amara, I leave you your beauty and wealth. I hope they keep you warm when love does not. To my wife, Ugochi, you will retain the Paris house and the family jewelry. You always loved appearances. Keep them. And to Chika Nwoku, alone stayed, when all others left, who brought me food, comfort, and laughter. I leave my estates in Enugu, my shares in dike Holdings, my private jet, and the mansion. You, Chika, are the child I never birthed, but the only one who acted like I mattered. Signed, Chief Ignatius Dike. Silence struck like lightning. Then the door creaked open, and in walked Chief Dike alive, dressed in his white senator wear, cane in hand, eyes burning with emotion. The air in the room evaporated. Adaku screamed. Amara fainted. Ibuka stumbled back. Ikechukwu dropped his glass. Chibuzor, in a shaky voice, said, "Dad, how? You were." Chief raised a hand. "I was dead to you long before now. You buried me with your absence." He looked at Chika, who stood trembling behind him. "I needed to know who truly cared. Now I do." Silence wrapped the room like a burial cloth, the kind of silence that presses into your lungs and makes breathing feel like betrayal. Chief Ignatius Dike stood at the center, very much alive, and watched the faces of his children shift shock, melting into shame, and shame burning quickly into rage. Ibuka was the first to find his voice. "Dad, you faked your death? Are you out of your mind?" Chief's eyes didn't blink. Madness would have been dying, and still giving my sweat to children who buried me while I was still breathing. Amara, still trembling, rose to her feet, mascara running like black rivers down her cheeks. "You humiliated us. Do you know what people will say when they find out? Do you know what I've posted?" Chief chuckled. "Maybe next time you'll post about visiting your father instead of beaches in Bali." Chibuzor stood, pacing. "This isn't fair, Daddy. We're your blood. We may have been busy, but we're still your children. And when was the last time any of you called without being reminded? Without being begged?" Chief's voice thundered now. "You were busy drinking champagne in Dubai and modeling for cameras while I was withering in my own mansion. Do you know what loneliness tastes like?" Ikechukwu scoffed. "So you gave everything to a maid? A house help? What does she even know about running businesses or owning estates?" Chika gasped, still unable to believe her name was written into the will. She hadn't touched her lips to speak yet. "She knew enough to remind me I still mattered," Chief replied coldly. "She knew enough to make me smile even when my children made excuses." "Are you really going to go through with this, Daddy?" Adaku asked in a low, bitter tone. "You would disgrace your own children publicly?" Chief walked closer to her. "I did not disgrace you. You disgraced yourselves." That night, the mansion was thick with tension. Each child returned to their rooms, pacing, arguing in whispers, making frantic calls to lawyers. Ibuka was overheard on the phone. "There must be a loophole. She's not even family. Check the inheritance clause again." Ikechukwu sent 3 different emails to his legal team. Chibuzor drank 2 bottles of cognac and threw one against the wall. Meanwhile, Chika sat quietly in the kitchen, tears in her eyes, heart pounding. She had never imagined a life of luxury. She had only served because of loyalty and love. The chief's wife had often scorned her. The children ignored her, but she never let bitterness grow. Now everything had changed. But did she want it? She walked to Chief Dike's study, knocked once, and entered. "Papa, I can't take all these things. It doesn't feel right. I was only doing what any human should do." Chief looked up from his chair, eyes heavy with fatigue. "That's why you deserve it. Because you didn't do it for reward. You did it for love. But if I accept this, your children will hate me." He smiled faintly. "They already hate themselves. That's the real tragedy." The next morning, chaos erupted. The story had leaked. Headline: "Billionaire fakes death to test children, gives everything to house help." Social media exploded. Bloggers had a feast. Memes rolled in. Videos were made. Nigerians on Twitter dragged the children mercilessly. Ikechukwu lost 2 investors. Amara's brand endorsement was pulled. Ebuka's company faced backlash. Adaku's diplomatic circle went cold. But that was not the twist. After the emotional will reading, everyone thought the biggest shock was that Chika, the house help, inherited the majority of Chief Dike's estate. But the real bomb hadn't dropped yet. The following morning, as the family sat for breakfast, each child brooding in silence, Chief's lawyer, Barrister Okafor, returned once more. "This is sensitive," he said, pulling out a smaller black envelope. "There is a second codicil to the will. It was added privately and signed with a witness not long after Chief recovered from his last illness." He opened it and read slowly. "In the event of my death, real, or perceived the true heir to my estate, shall be the child of my blood, who I kept secret from the world. Her name is Ngozi Chika Dike, born out of wedlock during my years of weakness, raised under this roof not as a daughter, but as a servant. I failed her once. I won't fail her again." The room spun. Ikechukwu slammed a glass against the table, fury in his eyes. "So all this was just a setup? You planted her in our lives while we walked around like royalty?" Chief stood slowly. "She grew up under your noses. You all treated her like dust. And yet she showed more love to me than all of you combined. Now, justice has been served." The silence that followed Chief Dike's confession was louder than any scream. The walls of the mansion seemed to draw closer, suffocating the room with truth. Amara's voice trembled. She's our sister?" "Half-sister," Chief corrected quietly. "But yes, your blood. But we lived in the same house, ate the same food. She cleaned my shoes, washed my clothes. This is madness," Ikechukwu exploded. "You let us treat her like dirt," Adaku snarled. "You let her serve us while you watched." Chief's eyes blazed. "And none of you thought to treat her better. She was in plain sight, but your pride never let you see her humanity." Chika's hands shook. You told me my mother died during childbirth. You said I had no father. I had to protect you," he said. "Ugochi never accepted you. If she had known the truth, she would have driven you out or worse. I thought I was doing the right thing, but now I see. I was a coward." Ugochi stood from her corner like a cobra rising. "You were a coward. You brought a bastard into my home, and now you shame me in front of everyone?" "She is more of a daughter than you ever were a wife," Chief snapped. Ugochi's face twisted with rage, but said nothing more. For the first time in years, she looked small. Behind closed doors, the siblings began plotting. "She has no right," Ebuka said bitterly. "Maid or sister, she doesn't deserve this empire." "She's not even educated," Adaku added. "Can she run companies? Handle estates?" "Doesn't matter," Ikechukwu growled. "She has the law on her side now, and public sympathy too." Chibuzor, who had been quiet the entire time, finally spoke. "We either fight this in court or fix it before it ever gets there." A chilling pause. Ebuka raised his eyes. "What do you mean, fix it?" Chibuzor smiled coldly. "Mistakes disappear all the time if you know how to clean them." Meanwhile, in the garden, Chief Dike found Chika sitting quietly by the garden bench, the same place her mother once loved. "I know this is heavy," he said, sitting beside her. "I know I failed you in so many ways." "You didn't fail," she whispered. "You just hid." He looked at her. "I want to fix this. I want to teach you how to handle everything. You won't be alone. But they'll never accept me." "They don't have to," he said, standing. "The world doesn't need their permission to witness your greatness." That night, while the house slept, someone slipped into Chika's room. Clad in black, face masked, they moved like a shadow. They poured something into her tea, left on the bedside by the steward. They vanished into the night. But what they didn't know was that Chika hadn't touched the tea. Her nerves kept her wide awake, and she heard everything. The next morning, she quietly handed the teacup to Chief Dike. He smelled it, then called Barrister Okafor and the private security analyst. Within hours, the results came in. Traces of poison. "Someone tried to kill you," the chief said, gripping her shoulders. Chief announced another private will signing to occur that night, hinting he would revoke the new will and divide everything back equally if everyone behaved. Greed danced in the siblings' eyes. Everyone arrived. Chief looked around, voice cold and sharp. I have decided to change the will once again. Smiles appeared. But this time, I need to know something. Who among you tried to poison my daughter? The smiles died. Ikechukwu laughed nervously. What are you talking about? Who would? Barrister Okafor interrupted. We have evidence. Fingerprints on the cup, and a camera in her room. Suddenly, Chibuzor stood up. His face was pale. I didn't mean to kill her. I just wanted her scared enough to leave. The silence turned deadly. Chief stared at him, disappointed. You would kill your own blood over property? She's not family to us, Chibuzor shouted. She's a stranger with your name. Chika stood, calm but firm. Everything you failed to become. Chibuzor was arrested. The police escorted him away in cuffs. Chief Dike rewrote his will again, sealing it with security measures, assigning Chika full legal authority, and placing the siblings on controlled allowances for 10 years, with reviews based on behavior. The public hailed him as wise. Media flooded with the tale of the house help turned heiress. But inside the mansion, tension remained. Forgiveness would take time. But power had changed hands. And for once, it was no longer inherited by birthright, but earned by loyalty. The end. Please kindly hit the like button, subscribe and share with family and friends for more stories. Feel free to share your thoughts on the comment section. See you soon.